And it wasn't until I felt safe there that things started to shift. So it was really an energetic or quantum shift, you know, in the consciousness first, before I could have that experience in the 3D. So the repetition of where we are headed, especially if we're being called to it. Because I think one of the mistakes people make here is they grab a borrowed dream and they think it would be cool to do this or drive the Ferrari or the house or the beach or whatever, and it may not always turn out that way. So are you guys struggling to be more successful? Like you feel like you're trying so hard, but you just can't get past, like you've got a block there. It's driving you nuts. Well, what if I told you didn't have to push so hard? You didn't have to try so hard. But what if you just have to shift your energetic field, shift yourself into a new alignment? Well, I have a special guest for you today, Dr. Nona Djavid. She's a quantum leap coach that's going to help us. She's going to teach us, and she's going to share some tips and techniques. I can't wait for you guys to meet her. Welcome. How are you today? I'm good. Thank you for having me in this beautiful space. I am so honored to have you here.
Thank you.
So everybody talks about these quantum leaps. What does a quantum leap mean to you? Okay. So, and I love that you start with this because I feel like the foundation of what a quantum leap is everything. Because you say quantum leap and people have their own definitions. And apparently there used to be a TV series called Quantum Leap. I didn't even know that existed until I started to become and dive into these concepts. So if you go back to quantum physics, the definition of a quantum leap or a quantum jump is when a particle jumps from one layer to the next layer. Ooh. Okay? Now, that one, pretty simple physics, everybody understands, but I thought the most incredible thing that I learned about a quantum leap is that this particle that makes the jump, in order for it to make the jump, it does not require more work for the particle. It actually just requires, literally, quote unquote, in physics, a different energetic state. So in order for us to quantum leap, not more work, but a different energetic state. Now, if you take that concept and go, okay, well, how does this relate to me, to my life, to my relationship, to my business, my career, my health, my body, whatever it is, the next level that we want to experience in life, well, break it down, right? Not more work, just a different energetic state. And I think we innately are tapped into that. We know when we're in a good mood and when we feel like everything's going our way, then opportunities will come and things are just kind of going super smooth, and you get a compliment when you're out and about. And when you are in a different energetic state, then your entire environment is completely different. So really, I think that's probably a good foundational piece to even start with. Wonderful. So when someone comes to see you and they're stuck in a certain problem or a certain program, and you can see that their energy is at a certain frequency, how do you help them shift it so that they can have one of those quantum leaps?
Yes, totally.
And so there are two ways to approach any kind of energetic shift, any kind of addiction, whether it's emotional, whether it is a behavioral addiction. There's always two approaches to this. One approach, which is traditionally we know of as therapy, right? If you're looking to change a behavior, change an addiction, a pattern that you're used to because of trauma or whatever in life, one way to do it is to go to a therapist or yourself or friends. You kind of hash out and you break down and you go, what has happened in the past that is giving me this particular energetic, or that's putting me in this particular state that's not serving me, perhaps. Now, you could do that, and I'm a big fan of that. Do that. And what works really well as well is a different approach. And in this different approach, and this is what I've really mastered, is figuring out what is it that you want to experience in the next moment? So the energetic field of the things that you want to experience in your life. So less of a focus on where I don't want to be. Like, this is a pattern I want to get rid of. This is an addiction that I have. This is how I'm emotionally addicted to scarcity or unworthiness because X, Y, and Z has happened. On the other side, what if we created an experience in the mind and in the nervous system, right? So that in that experience, you're actually experiencing something totally different. Maybe instead of scarcity, it's abundance. Maybe instead of unworthiness, it's worthiness and wholeness. And if I can get you, to whoever's in front of me, to feel that in their nervous system, both from a right brain perspective and a left brain perspective. So engaging the emotions, engaging the logic, if I can get them to really feel and experience that from a visceral embodiment perspective, then all the neurons that were wired to the trauma or to the old patterns or the addictions, they just prune themselves out.
Amazing. And then how do you guide someone? Like, do you take them through a hypnosis? How do you shift them to start to have an experience or imagine this new life, this new version of themselves?
Yeah. I'm happy you asked that question because I actually don't do anything.
Okay, good. Make it easy.
Make it easy. Yeah. It's going to be $1 million and you go and do the thing and you'll make the changes. So in reality, I have a framework that I take my students through. And this framework is made up of 2 ingredients and 4 steps. So 2 of the ingredients, we can start there, and I'm happy to jump into the steps too if it's valuable. But the 2 ingredients that I teach, one is the mechanics of something, the doing. Right? In order for us to have a good relationship or take our marriage to the next level or have a really profitable business or in our health, in our body, whatever the next level is, there are things you got to do, right? And then the other ingredient is the energetic, which I know you're familiar with and work with and help people with. And I have come to find that just like from our initial definition of a quantum leap, for somebody to quantum leap to the next level, the energetic piece is just so much more important than the mechanics. And I know this for a fact because I have personal experience with it too. You could be doing all the things to push and make something happen. And this is where people get stuck. And you can have a level of success that comes with that. Yeah. But if you are not approaching those mechanics with the right energetics, then you're going to burn out, or you're going to have, like you said at the beginning of this introduction, you're going to get stuck. You're going to be frustrated and you're going to have incremental levels of growth instead of an actual quantum leap. So in a way, to answer your question, how do I help people, is I give them the ingredients. I help them find awareness moment to moment on where they are with their energy and choosing the next thing to put into their energetic field, becoming intentional about what you're putting into the energetic field. And then, of course, I go through the 4 steps of a quantum leap where they will do the work.
Yes, that's great.
To get them to what I call an unreasonable life that they are choosing, of their choosing.
Amazing. And you can feel too when you're in that busy, struggling energy. It's familiar to, I think, an old belief, right? When you're doing that busy work where there's something that, like, I should be making this phone call to, to further my career, but that feels too much and outside of my comfort. So you kind of work hard busying yourself, and you could feel, I think subconsciously we know when we're doing that, and we use our anger and kind of scarcity, like, oh, I don't understand why I'm not moving forward. I'm doing all of this work. But at the back of your mind, or at least I know in the back of my mind, I could feel like, well, you're supposed to be calling this person, or you're supposed to be putting your stuff out there, and I'm not doing that. It's almost like, well, I don't want to look at that. But you know that that's what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I think this work that you're talking about helps you because you need to know, how am I blocking myself?
Yes. Truly. Yes. And I think like what you're talking about is so real, right? If I'm in the consciousness of wherever I am, like let's say in this moment, whatever my frequency is and what my consciousness is and what I have put in my energetic field will only give me solutions that are, and actions even, that are in this particular energetic field, right? Yeah, so if I'm, and I always teach my students, I tell them your identity and your energetics really drive your behavior. So if you are, if you believe you're a fit person or you're a, gym rat, you don't have to write it in your journal every January. Right. You literally find time and you go to the gym if you identify with that particular trait. And energetics is the same. I mean, you're going to run through the same actions and it's going to be packed with scarcity and unworthiness and frustration and anger. And if you were to put yourself, at least energetically, into the next level of where you are headed mentally, utilizing so many tools, visualization, meditation, tons of things to do. But if you can put yourself there and make it safe for your nervous system to be there, even though you are not there yet, right? Making it feel safe in your nervous system, then what's going to happen is you're now, at least from a consciousness perspective, frequency perspective, at this level, which then means you're going to take actions that are in alignment with this particular frequency.
Yes, that's so good. And I think it's such a good reminder that at first, that's going to feel uncomfortable, but the fact that it does feel uncomfortable is such a great message for you because it's showing you that you want these codes. These are new codes. This is fresh energy. And that's all part of the process. That's part of the growth.
Yep.
So
exactly. Yeah. And I think to speak to the discomfort of it, right? The only way to make it maybe a little bit more comfortable is to actually live in what I call the unreasonable dream life, right? So if I say, here's my next, I'll give you an example, actually. I've always been a fan of collapsing time. Okay, so I built my first business and I actually worked really hard and I hustled and I pushed and I made things happen, a lot of it from a place of scarcity, right? And I built a really successful business and then I burnt out completely. And in that process, I had a vision of building multiple businesses at multiple seven figures that were semi-passive. And I was able to do that from a completely different approach. But the idea here was to work not more than half as much as what I was putting into it originally, but generating 10 times more than I was generating. So that was really, this is a while back without aging myself. It was when I was
2 years ago.
Yeah, just a few years ago, exactly. And then since then, now more in the recent years, I have tapped into what it's like to have what I call a 1 week a month lifestyle. So it's almost like, how can I collapse all of my business and profitability into the month so that into the week, so that on the other 3 weeks, I can travel, I can be with my kids, I can choose to work, I can volunteer, I can hang out with you and go to lunch with you and not have any deadlines. So when I first made this decision, my nervous system went into a panic attack.
What are you doing?
What are you going to do with all this freedom? With all this joy? Because we are
programmed.
We're programmed.
It's funny when we are uncomfortable with that. Like so many times I'll hear people where all of a sudden they're retired or they're going on vacation, but they don't know who they are now. They're like, I'm lost.
Exactly.
It's like we need more practice in feeling good. We need more practice in the freedom.
The deserving of the freedom. So I was really challenged by that idea of, and I had to sit in this concept of 1 week a month. Like, what does 1 week a month lifestyle mean? Like what? Because part of my brain would go, conditioned to, you have to work hard to be successful. You have to work hard to be worthy. You have to struggle.
You have to show too. Like, look, I'm showing that I'm deserving of this money because look how hard I'm working. Like, she's nonstop. And that was looked upon as something great, right? And if you were just hanging out at the pool or at the beach, it was just like,
what are you doing?
What are you doing? You're sloppy, or you get the negatives, like obviously someone's supporting her.
Oh,
right.
Yes,
She's a princess, whatever.
We need to come back to that one.
Yeah.
I get that all the time.
Yeah.
Man, yes, there's so much truth to this. So in a way, to give my nervous system that lifestyle, in order for the 1 week a month to become a reality, that lifestyle to become reality, to show up in the 3D world.
Yes.
I first had to make it feel safe for my nervous system. So I lived in this lifestyle of 1 week a month in my head. Like every day I'd go to work.
Yeah. You're at the beach somewhere.
Yeah. But in my mind, I had to build some safety for my nervous system to live a 1 week a month lifestyle. And it wasn't until I felt safe there that things started to shift. So it was really an energetic or quantum shift, in the consciousness first, before I could have that experience in the 3D. So the repetition of where we are headed, especially if we're being called to it. Because I think one of the mistakes people make here is they grab a borrowed dream and they think it would be cool to do this or drive the Ferrari or the house or the beach or whatever. And it may not always turn out that way.
Yeah. I could also feel in the background, like people saying, well, I can't do that. They can't let go of their third dimensional reality because of, I somehow fantasize about having this lifestyle that you're talking about. I'm going to lose everything. That's how people get poor. That's how I lose everything. So how do you kind of walk your third dimensional self that's having all of this anxiety come up, where I'm just like, I can't be that person? Like, what do you say to them to help them to calm that voice, to calm their system?
That's such a great question. And I've personally gone through those moments as well and continue to go through them on daily basis, sometimes too many moments that I'm willing to admit. And I think one is giving people, my students, the safety of, you don't have to let go of the 3D. You just show up to the 3D with the energetics of where you are headed. So if I'm showing up to pay my bills and I feel like there's scarcity or I don't have enough, that's factual. That's the 3D world, right? If I don't have enough in my bank account, right? But what if I'm going to pay the bill anyways? I'm going to sign that check or click the button, online bill pay.
Yes.
I'm going to pay that bill anyways. What if I choose to not pay the bill unless I get myself into an abundant energy? So I get myself, the first step that I teach in the quantum leap, the 4 steps, is to design and write out a life script that is an unreasonable life, unreasonable business, unreasonable relationship, whatever it is you're working on, and make sure that there is an emotion involved with that. So it engages your limbic system. So if you've done the work and you've done that process in step 1 and you're about to pay your bills and you're like, I don't have enough for my bank account, then I say, go back to the energetics of where you are headed and pay your bills, push the button, do the online bill pay with that energy. You're going to do it anyways, right? So that's one. And second, this is kind of in parentheses, if once they're ready, in quotes. The other piece of the equation is, if you are sort of committing to a quantum leap and you want things that are wildly different in your life, you're going to have to do things that are wildly different.
Right.
And oftentimes that requires death, requires death of the old self and the old versions of us. So I will give them that piece when they're prepared. But I think from a practical perspective is just continuous going back to a different frequency, operating from a different frequency. Love that. Yeah. So just keep focusing on who I want to become, focus on my new vision, and just allow the old one almost to dissolve. Allow to dissolve. Don't push it. Push us. And even again, when I'm paying my bills, just come from a mindset of also, I have the money to pay this. I am so abundant. I am so powerful.
look at me, I'm responsible, whatever it takes to keep feeding that new reality.
Yes, exactly. And honestly, sometimes it's like the energy before I take a nap, and the energy after I take a nap.
Yes.
So it doesn't mean you have to have this whole ritual and meditation and visualization before you do anything, right?
Yeah.
But it does mean becoming aware in the moment and choosing a different energy in the next moment.
Yes. So true. Checking my thoughts. I always love that because I'm like, don't go that way. It's not fitting the new vision.
That's right. That's right.
So now you also talk about soul alignment. Is that part of what you're talking about with aligning the energy, or is that something different?
Yeah. More of what I teach when it comes to that has to do with making sure that the vision that you have is not borrowed.
Okay.
Right? That it's authentic. Sort of picking the things that are authentic to you. Give you an example. We live near the ocean, and it's almost like you've got to want an ocean house or ocean view.
Yes.
And if I were to go off of a borrowed dream, I would say, I want a house with an ocean view and the breeze of the ocean, and I could describe and feel and all the senses, right? However, if I go maybe 3, 4, 5, 10 layers deep, if I were to compare other homes, I would go, definitely want a mountain home.
Right.
Definitely want to be in the mountains. Like, which one is more juicy for me to experience? And if I really dig in, this is very real for me. I just bought my mountain home in Laguna Beach. And I go, well, if that's what I want, where did this come from? And then I do a bit of contemplation and I go, since I was a little kid. And oftentimes that is the authentic, real, your soul came here to experience that. Now it got beaten out of us through life. But when I was a kid, some of the things I've manifested in my life are the things that I wanted when I was a child, before anyone told me I couldn't have them, or I couldn't experience them, or it was too hard, or I had to work really hard to have them. And so I always encourage people to have a childlike creativity when they're approaching what is the vision. Where am I supposed to be, and what am I supposed to experience in life?
That's so good. And I always feel like those always come so easily to you, right? It's like those childlike dreams where you're just like, I want this, and I don't have any programs attached to it.
Because
you're just like, I knew it. I'm manifesting it. I'm making it happen.
I'll add something to that. I feel like, and I don't know if you have sensed this working with people, sometimes people will say, but I don't know what I want.
Yes.
Right? And I think that's often something where, honestly, I would tell my students, if they said, I don't know what I want, I would say, stop lying to yourself. Because that's really the framework of what you're really saying is, if I dig deep, I can figure out what I want. And on the surface, I know what I want, but I'm afraid of the initiation. I'm afraid of what it takes to get there, because maybe I have to let go of a partner. Maybe I got to get divorced. Maybe I got to sell a business. Maybe I got to move. And perhaps you're just not prepared for the quantum leap, and getting real with yourself might be the first step. If somebody's listening and saying, but I don't know what I want.
Yeah, I hear that all the time.
Right?
But I also think it comes back to you're not able to trust your own voice. Because when you were a kid and you said what you wanted, a lot of the times it's like, no, that's not good, or somebody dismissed it. So you start to have that voice within you that trains you that either what I want isn't right, or somebody outside of me is supposed to tell me.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, as you do this work, we start to see all the layers. But I think what I love about what you're talking about is, yes, we have all these programs, but can you make the main focus of the person you want to become? And also reminding yourself that it's supposed to be fun.
It's supposed to be fun.
Right? Like you are worthy, you're light, and you didn't come here to struggle all the time. You didn't say, hey, I'm going to go to Earth. I want to work my entire life. I'm going to be in school, the other half. And you're always having to do what everybody around you is telling you what to do. I think this is a new time where we're like, okay, everybody slow down, take a deep breath. And if we are creators of our reality, why don't we all start creating a better reality?
Yeah.
Just for yourself. Because if you start to connect to love, you start to see the good for yourself. You're going to be a beautiful mirror for me to be like, oh, I can do that too. And when you're authentic and you don't see the struggle, we're no longer caught up in that duality too, right? We're also not in that scarcity mindset. Like, well, there goes that one house. She got it in the mountains. It's gone for everybody, right? It's giving that example like, oh, you can be there too. It's like this world is full of opportunities.
Yeah, that was a big shift for me because I was the healer. I lost a brother when I was 2.5. So at a young age, and I watched my parents sort of suffer and struggle through that grieving process. And I think the seed was planted then, or perhaps my soul's calling, to help other people. So everything I've ever done in my life was to help you and to help you and to help you, and in different ways, completely different ways, even like with my family members, with my ex-husband. And a big shift that happened here was, wait a second, I am here to live my unreasonable life. And by me tapping into what I'm really here to experience, I'm actually giving way more, and I'm healing way more people, and I'm inspiring way more people. And that has been the case than when I was pushing to fix an ex-husband or to move my community into inspiration or whatever the case. And I can tell you the impact since that shift has been massive. So figuring out what is authentic, what are you here to do, and then moving in that direction. Not only something that we want to do on an individual basis, but also so good for the consciousness of the world.
Can you share the 4 steps with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first step, as I mentioned, is the having a description, and there's a lot that goes into it, but just big picture, having a description of the next level life that you want to experience. And this could go in any category. It could be wealth, contribution, lifestyle. It could be in the area of health, or it could be in the area of connection. And the second step, speaking of what you're describing in terms of picking out your clothes, the second step in the process is actually expanding your identity. So it's like becoming the next version of you who is in alignment with the unreasonable vision that you just jotted down. The third part of the quantum leap, the third step, is embodiment. How do I feel? How can I feel? How can I fill up my entire energetic field as the new version? I call it the signature self version of myself.
Oh, I like that.
Right? And then the last step in the process, as I mentioned, is taking unreasonable actions. So you're intentionally going through this process to evolve as a human being in this physical world, versus waiting for the lessons and the wisdom to come at you to initiate you into the evolution. So this is more like, how can I create more ease in this process actively, moment by moment?
I love that. I love that you said all of that. And again, at the very end, I'm like, be okay with the cringe. Because I know I feel cringy the next time I have to step into that whole new energy, because it's new. Know that it's okay if I'm going to be bumpy. It's like you're trying on a new pair of shoes, right? Like you're going to fall, but you're doing it for you. So what's the difference between manifestation and taking a quantum leap?
Okay. So it depends on your definition of manifestation. My definition of manifestation is bringing something from the quantum into reality. So if I decide I'm going to build this table, and I have a vision for it, and then I built the table, then I manifested a table through action and through vision and through a whole process. But I think if we want to zoom out and really create a distinction between the two, from a general average understanding of manifestation, is most people think, I'm manifesting $1, I'm manifesting a check, I'm manifesting a husband, I'm manifesting this and that and the other, but they don't really have a practical way of going about it. They think, The Secret.
Right.
Just think about things, put your feet up on the couch and then
hang out, think good thoughts. It's going to come to you.
It's going to come to you. And I think that making a quantum leap is very calculated. And as a matter of fact, very scientific from a neurology perspective, and it's got specific steps that you take. And the last step in the process of Quantum Leap is actually taking unreasonable action. So when people associate typically the word manifest or manifestation, they're thinking, I just sit here and then something out of the blue will appear because I have good thoughts about it. Whereas a quantum leap is an actual active process. It's shifting your energetics moment by moment. It's inner mastery. And then, of course, like I said, there's a 4-step process, but the very last step is actually taking unreasonable action. There's a process of becoming the next version of yourself actively, right? Every moment, choosing the next version of yourself versus sitting down and expecting life to happen.
Thank you for giving us so much incredible information that we can all use. I'm so excited to try your 4 steps. I think it's going to be life-changing. I get to finally take that quantum leap. Yeah. And if people want to hear more about you or know more about you, we'll definitely have links on the video for them to get a hold of you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. You've created such a beautiful space, both energetically and physically.
Yay.
And I loved spending some time with you in this space. Thank you.
And I hope you guys got a lot of great information for today, and you can start taking that quantum leap in your life. Until next time, keep tapping in.